All right, welcome to the NJZ show. I'm Zeke.
And I'm Nate. And me and Zeke been having this debate about which is harder to play. I think bass and he think keys.
So right now, we're both a part of this band called The Chosen Ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's the bassist, I'm the trumpet player, but I play keyboard as a hobby on the side, right? So let's hop in.
Yep.
First up, I believe that keyboard is harder than bass because we actually have two-hand coordination. This means that your right hand plays the chords and the melody while your left hand plays the bass part, and that we have to keep them in sync, because if we don't, that means that the music piece that we're playing will fall apart.
Well, I just think, me personally, that bass is like super hard to play, because if I mess up, that's like it, because you need groove and you need timing. What's good about groove is rhythm, and you need that rhythm so not only you feel it, but the whole audience feel it. And timing is tempo, because if you go off track, it's gonna throw everybody off. And keep in mind, you need that bass blasted and binged.
Get low to this guy, because I mean no harm, but check it. We actually have to analyze the type of music we do with music theory. So the right hand normally plays your melody, in which it involves on the treble clef, while your left hand involves the bass, which is also the bass clef. And that we have to learn these things called chords, chord progressions, right? So chords as in the B flat major chord or the B flat major 7, which are two different chords, but we have to learn both on their respective parts.
Yeah. And me personally, physical demands matter, because thicker strings mean that it's gonna get feedback. And you gotta have your fingering down, because you got slap bass, you got plucking, like you got all that fingering. And second of all, you do need your notes. You gotta know your notes. You gotta know all the note names, the numbering. And the numbering is really hard, because you need to know your whole scales to get the numbering. That's why I think that bass is way harder than keyboard, because it comes with a lot of effort.
All right, bet. But what about this? We have 88 keys to play. 88 on a normal full keyboard is the amount of keys in which a person has to play. Normally, I believe it's the top 4 with your right hand, or the top 5 with your right hand as in octaves, and the bottom 3 with your left. And that different chord progressions have to use those different notes within all 88. And the issue is, you still have to remember where your fingers are on each of those 88 keys, so that if you do end up having to come to a tricky part in a song, you don't mess up because you forgot where your hands are. And 88 keys is a lot, considering what we're playing. So
and
what do you think?
We also got resistant, because the bass rarely leads. The bass is always in the background. And when you do have that solo, you gotta lock in. Like, you gotta lock in. Like, if you mess up, that's like the kids said, that's like negative 1,000 aura. Like, it's on that level.
All right, bet. So now, the next point. Keyboards are expected to fit in all genres, as in EDM, pop, dubstep, right? Jazz. And that's a lot of pressure on a specific keyboard players, because you have to play a lot of different genre of music, and that you have to know a lot of that and keep it memorized, so that way, like, say you're playing multiple pieces, one could be a pop piece, the other one could be EDM, but you have to have them memorized so you don't have to pull out sheet music and waste time trying to figure out where it went. Whereas you could just remember it. But that's also a lot, considering what I said earlier. 88 keys, and every song is in a different key than the next, right? Yeah. A song could be in the B flat major key, while the other song could be in the E major key, right? It all depends on what song does what. And I believe that that's the reason why keyboard is harder than bass.
That's facts. But that's not no info, buddy, because I'm telling you right now, bass is way harder than keyboard, bro. Because first of all, third of all, you need listening skills. You can't just play the bass. You need that ear. You need that ear for the music, period. Because if you hear yourself off, you gotta go straight back to that note. Or else since the bass gotta be boosted, you have all of that sound, and plus like if the keyboards is playing or something like that, it's gonna buzz a little bit and it's gonna sound a little ringy. That means it's like out of tune, or like you're not in the same, like let's say major or minor scales or something like that. And that goes back to the scales. You need a lot of consistency on the bass in order to really sound good.
All right. So if you like visual structure, chord progressions, and whatnot, I'd say to learn the keyboard. Now, it will be more difficult as there is a learning curve when you start learning keyboard because of the chord structures and learning chords themselves. If you enjoy melody and visual structure, keyboard might feel harder to you because you have to spend more time learning music theory and hand coordination. Whereas on bass, you really only have to play with one hand per key and the other hand just strums, right? That's not as hard as learning piano, being frank. But with that, I feel like there's a steeper learning curve when actually learning piano because of, like I said earlier, the coordination and music theory.
So, son, if you're into rhythm, groove, and feel, bass might seem harder because it comes back to that ear. You need a good one for the bass. And it's like, you have to learn, like, if it goes into that one note, it's over. I don't care what y'all say. And that really concludes to just bass demands, because playing the bass, it comes with a lot of maturity and a lot of responsibility to just getting across learning it.
Well, to be honest with you, buddy, it seemed to me like we saying the same thing over and over again. So let's just end it right here. With us being musicians in the Chosen Ones band, we're also, more importantly, members of the Newcoolmovement, right?
Yep.
And with that, that was the NJC show, and we'll see you folks next time.
Yep.